Imagine walking into a Roman courtroom and the defendant sitting across from you has been dead for 9 months. This is not a ghost story. This is real history. A rotting corpse, exhumed from its grave, dressed in full royal papal robes, dragged before judges, and forced to stand trial for its billions. In the winter of 897 AD, the Catholic Church held the most disturbing, macabre legal trial in human history, the Cadaver Synod. For centuries, school textbooks lied to you. They called it a religious conflict, a battle over faith and doctrine. As a corporate estate lawyer, I see the truth. This was never about sin. This was the most ruthless corporate raid in medieval history. It was a calculated legal takeover of an untouchable inheritance, one that controlled all the wealth and land of Western Europe, and one powerful man was willing to dig up a grave just to steal it. To understand the crime, you must first understand the asset. In the 9th century, the Pope was not merely a spiritual leader. He was the CEO of the wealthiest corporation on earth. The Vatican owned millions of acres of land, private military armies, endless gold reserves, and untouchable political power. When Pope Formosus took power, he became a financial genius. For 5 years, he restructured the entire Vatican portfolio. He reassigned lands, signed secret treaties, and shifted massive fortunes into the hands of his closest loyal allies. Most critically, he protected his empire legally. He locked his entire legacy inside papal decrees, the medieval equivalent of an unbreakable offshore trust. No successor, no lawyer, no counsel could ever reverse his rulings. When Formosus died suddenly in 896 AD, his fortune, his lands, and his power were legally sealed forever. His heirs could not touch it. His rivals could not dismantle it. Until his enemy rose to power, Pope Stephen VI. Stephen was drowning in debt, starving for authority, and completely blocked by a dead man's unbreakable will. Stephen understood brutal legal logic. If you cannot legally break a trust, you destroy the identity of the man who built it. So he ordered the impossible. 9 months after Formosus was buried, his decaying body was exhumed. The rotting corpse was dressed in full sacred vestments, strapped to a papal throne, and placed on trial. Stephen assigned a terrified teenage deacon to act as the dead man's defense attorney. Every time Stephen screamed accusations at the silent corpse, the trembling boy was forced to speak and answer on its behalf. The charges were fabricated: perjury, illegal wealth accumulation, and violation of church law. To everyone watching, it looked like the madness of a deranged tyrant. But it was masterful legal theater. By formally convicting the dead body in an official papal trial, Stephen achieved something unimaginably profitable. He issued a retroactive judgment. Pope Formosus was never a legitimate pope at all. The legal fallout was catastrophic. If Formosus was invalid, every single contract, land grant, treaty, and will he ever signed became null and void. Overnight, his bulletproof offshore trust collapsed. Millions of acres of elite land reverted straight back to the Vatican. Every ally of Formosus lost their entire fortune instantly. It was the largest asset stripping in medieval history. Sanitized, legalized, and approved by the highest religious court in the world. To finalize the takeover, the court cut off Formosus's 3 blessing fingers, the hands that sealed his empire. They stripped his sacred robes from his rotting body. They dragged him through the muddy streets of Rome, and they dumped his corpse unceremoniously into the Tiber River like garbage. The dead man's multinational empire was completely erased. Pope Stephen won everything, or so he believed. Medieval karma was as brutal as medieval law. Months after the trial, a massive earthquake destroyed the exact basilica where the Cadaver Synod took place. Terrified Romans saw it as divine punishment. An angry mob overthrew Pope Stephen, threw him into a dungeon, and strangled him to death. The stolen fortune he seized burned away in civil war. His victory turned into his execution. You are probably thinking, this is just insane medieval savagery. We live in a civilized modern world. This could never happen today. But here is the terrifying truth I expose on this channel. The Cadaver Synod never ended. It only evolved. Today's billionaires, tech conglomerates, and elite legal families no longer use shovels and public graves. They use algorithms, privacy loopholes, and high-dollar law firms. They wait patiently for geniuses, creators, icons, and wealthy visionaries to die. Then they attack their estates, they invalidate their wills, they erase their legacy, they steal their names, their brands, their likeness, and even their digital consciousness. The tools changed, the playbook did not. For over 1,000 years, the living have legally feasted on the fortunes of the dead. This is the Lost Will Files. Subscribe before someone rewrites your eternal legacy.